Hello everyone, this is Mr. Peak and welcome to our final lesson on Python programming. So far we've spent the last 4 weeks developing some key skills in Python, and what we're going to do this lesson is use all of those skills that we've developed to create one big program, and that program is going to be a quiz. So if I switch back to the main presentation, so onto the presentation. Like I said, what we're going to be doing today is creating a quiz, multiple choice quiz. But to start with, what I want to do is just quickly recap conditional statements, because I know it's been around 2 weeks since you last looked at conditional statements. So I'm just going to go over how they work again, briefly, and walk you through how we can implement them into a program. So most of you should remember this password checker program I showed you in the previous weeks. It works in a very simple way. We start by creating a variable which is going to store the user's input, so it's going to store a user's attempt at the password, and then it's going to do two things. It's going to say, well, if what the user enters, which is what's stored in password, is equal to ABCD123, we'll then print access granted. Else, so that means else, if password doesn't equal that and it equals anything else that we could enter, print access denied. Now remember, we could also use what we call elif statement, which is short for else if. So this allows us to add extra options to our if statements, because we can't use if more than once. We only use if to start off the sort of chain. So we need to make sure that we use elif statements for any other options that we want to add to our conditional statement. So if I switch over to create with code for a moment and just show you this in action. So if I click run, you can see here that we have 4 options. We can enter pizza, and if we enter that, we get the result pizza is great. We could enter pie, we could enter noodles, or we could enter Big Mac. So if we enter any of those 4 options as they're written there, we'll get one of these results. If we enter anything else, we get, this is not an option, please try again. So you can see here how we could start building a multiple choice quiz. We could start off by asking the question and then having the answer as each option, starting with if and then moving to the elif statement, and then an else statement for anything that doesn't match that answer. So you could start thinking about how you're going to start building your quiz. So if we just try entering one of the options, we can see that I get pizza is great if I enter pizza, and if I enter anything else, I get the result that's not a valid option. So again, you can start thinking about how you can start building your quizzes using these conditional statements. So if I switch back to the main presentation, the main task you're going to be doing today, which you should be spending the majority of the lesson doing, is creating this quiz. So what I want you to do is create a 5-question quiz. And the user will be given 3 answers to choose from, like a normal multiple choice quiz. 2 of those answers will be incorrect, and there'll be 1 correct answer. Again, you should be creating these using conditional statements. The format of those conditional statements is up to you. Like I said, you could compare them to the answers, or you could give the user the option to choose from answers A, B, or C. Again, that's totally up to you. And then if you do get a chance and you finish all 5 of those questions and you have a working quiz, there's a small extension task at the end. And what I want you to do in that extension task is, can you add a counter to the quiz to tally the amount of questions the user got correct? And at the end of that program, it should print the value of that variable at the very end and tell the user how many questions they got correct. So what I want you to do now is please pause this video, and if you need any extra support or you're really struggling with the task, when you unpause the video, I'll briefly go over how to start building the first question of the quiz. And then you should be set up and ready to have an attempt at building the last 4. But please only unpause the video and watch that extra support if you are really struggling. I want you to really have a go at this before you seek extra help. Okay? So please pause the video now and have a go at this quiz, and unpause if you are struggling. Okay, so you've either unpaused the video because you're struggling or you forgot to pause it. Either one is fine by me. So let me walk you through how we can build the first question in our quiz. So if I switch back to create with code and then move over to my quiz, what I've done is I've already got started by just printing a simple question: what is Baby Yoda's real name? And I've given 3 options, so I'm going to say A, B or C. And now I want to start building my question. So the first thing I need to do when I'm creating a quiz is ask the question. So what I'm going to do is create a variable, and I'm going to call that answer because it's going to be the user's answer. I'm going to say equals input because we want the user to be able to input the answer. And then I'm going to say please enter your answer. And then that is going to be the end of the prompt. So you can see here, it prints the question, and now we have the opportunity to answer it. And our answer will be stored in the variable called answer. So what I can now start doing is building up my conditional statements to allow the user to answer that question and get a response from the computer on whether they were right or wrong. So what I can do is I'm going to say if answer is equal to, and I'm going to start with my first option, which you can see up here was option A. So I'm prompting the user to choose from A, B or C. And that's going to be the end of the first line. So if answer is equal to A, I'm going to print, and spoilers, this is the correct answer. If any of you have seen The Mandalorian, answer. So what I would want to do then is then add the other options, because what if one of the users chose B or C? Well, then I'm going to need to use an else if, or elif for short. So elif answer is equal to B, because remember B was our second answer choice. And then I'm going to print sorry, that is incorrect. So this is the sort of start of my quiz. I'm building my first question. So what I want you to do from here is carry on building this first question and finish off this first one that I've started for you. So what I would do now, if I were you, is make sure that you add an option to check if the user enters C. Again, you can look at this code for inspiration to see if you can find out how to do that. Otherwise, please now pause the video either on that code, or I will put the task up onto the screen again for you to view. So again, you can rewind the video and watch that sort of demonstration again if you do need to. So please do if you're struggling, or ask for help in the lesson, because at this point I do hope we are back in live lessons. So hopefully you've all had a good go at that. That is the end of this lesson. So you should be spending all of this lesson working on creating that quiz. And I will see you all back in live lessons.